The future of cryptocurrency is now.
Hello, I'm Paul Stryer with BitCoinBeginner.Rocks. Today we have a Bitmain S9 March 2018 batch. We're going to open this bad boy up, we're going to fire her up, and we're going to learn how to configure her. So let's get started. First, we're going to open up this bad boy, and we're going to be very careful cutting into it because we don't want to go too deep. And we're going to open her up. She has her paperwork in there. Set that aside for right now. And then we'll flip it over. Lift her out of the box. There's the foam. Looks like it's packed fairly decent. There you have it. So it's the front side of it, back side of it. Hold it up so you can see it there. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this aside, and then we'll get the power supply out. Hold the power supply here. And we have already opened. Hasn't pulled it out yet. Let gravity do its work. What's really super cool about these is the power supply has all the cables already built in that you need, and you don't have to actually think about it really, you just plug them in and go. So here is the front end of it with the cables. You can see power supply, back end with the power port and the fan. So what we'll do is, as you can see, we have these connectors, and these are all 6-pin connectors, and we will go ahead and plug them in here to these ports up on the top right here. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see. Did I count it wrong? 8, 9, 10. So, anyways. Oh, and there's the one on the main motherboard here as well that I forgot about. So, what I will do is start plugging these in. And there's the little lip right there underneath each one. And on each connector you have the little snaps, so you want those to go into and then just snap in, just like that. So keep going. last two, and they are separate from each other. Bring this one up through the middle here. Put it right in there. And then we'll come over here with this one, and then we'll power up this other motherboard over here. So now we have the Bitmain and the power supply plugged in. So now what we're going to need is Ethernet. I've got this running into the other room, into my switch that goes into the whole house network. And up here you can see that there's one Ethernet port. Alright, so now we have that plugged in. And the other thing I already have sitting here is I have a power cord, and I have a power meter on that power cord. So you can see there I have 121.8 volts, and of course there's not going to be any amps or any watts yet, but we'll see how much this device takes and how much it costs to run per month once we get it up and running. Last time on my previous S9 came out to about $108 per month to run this device, and it was bringing in about, at the time when I measured it, it was just January 2018, so it was bringing in about $50 a day. Now we're bringing in about $18 to $20 a day because of the price of Bitcoin. But let me get a power cable. Okay, to summarize, we have the power supply. The power supply is plugged into all 10 ports here. We have an Ethernet cable plugged into the Ether port. Now we're going to get a power cable and plug it in. So with this power cable, I'll plug it into this meter, and then we'll power it up. Now, when I plug this in, it's going to sound like an aircraft taking off because these fans are really super loud. So my voice might get a little hard to hear, but I'll try to talk up. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and plug it in. It's just getting started. Wait till it takes off. Now, when you get your Bitmain S9, it's already pre-configured inside, but it's configured for a wallet for Bitmain. So if you just leave it running with the default configuration, it's going to come up, it's going to find the network, it's going to start mining, and it's going to be mining for Bitmain. And I'm sure they get a lot of money every year for the 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes that these things are usually running with their address in there. So it's a pretty smart ploy on their part. There we go. So we're going to try to configure it as quick as we can. So with that being said, I'm going to stop the video, get on my laptop, and we'll go from there. Welcome back. Now we're going to take a look at how to configure our Bitmain S9 miner. So as I told you previously, the miner comes up and it's configured. So right now it's mining on the Bitmain network, making money for Bitmain, which is a pretty cool ploy for them because every time someone puts one on, it takes us 5 or 10 minutes to get it in to our network and with our addresses. So with that being said, we we're mining for them until we switch it to our address. So we're going to go ahead and switch it to our address, but first we have to figure out what IP address that this machine came up as. When it came up onto my network, it sent out a message for DHCP. DHCP gave it an address, and it's up and running. So I use a tool called Advanced IP Scanner. I will put a link down in the YouTube channel for this. But if I go in here and click scan, it's going to scan the 192.168.0.1. It picked that network because this computer is on that network. If I wanted to scan for a different network, I could have switched it there before I started the scan. So as you can see, it's starting to scan the network. And I know my network pretty well, so I already see something new that is hasn't been on my network before, so that I know that that's going to be the Bitmain. Now it doesn't say Bitmain here, it says InfoCrypt, and I've seen that one before, so I know that that is the Bitmain. If I scroll down, we can see that 101, 102, 103, those are ASRoCs, and those are my GPU miners. And then I also have one at 151 and 152. So I have 3 of my own GPU miners, and I'm hosting 2 GPU miners for other people. And then my S9, my first S9, is at 201, so I keep my addresses organized so that I can manage them accordingly. So this next one will be 202, and it will go into the network as 202 once we configure it. Right now it's at 11, so let's go ahead and ping that address and just make sure that he's communicating. So I'm going to open up a command prompt and type ping 192.168.0.11, and we can see that it is successfully pinging that address. So the next thing we can do is actually go to that address and log in. So I'm going to open up a new window, and I'm going to go to 192.168.0.11 right there, and I'm going to hit enter. Now it logged me in because a few seconds ago I went and logged in. It should have logged me in. So let me see here. Actually, let me do this. Let me close this and close this window, and let's go back and try that again, just so you guys can see the login to that. And the login, I think, is root for the default. It's been a while, but we will see in just a minute. So let's try that again. 192.168.0.11, and see, now it's asking me for a login address, and I'm going to type root, and I'm going to type root, and it let me in. So the default password and username is root is the username, and password is root, all lowercase. Now we can see that it is an Antminer S9 right here. We can see that it is what hardware version it is right here. And we can see that it's using, you know, how much total available memory it has. I can see how much free memory it has, so on and so forth. If I go over here to mining configuration, I can see that it is mining at Antpool as Antminer 1. And if it went to this one here, it would go to Antminer 1 and Antminer 1. This is the login that Bitmain has for themselves, and it, you know, so they're making money right now off of me. If I go here, I can see the status of the miner. I can see that it is connected to the first one, and I can see that it is mining, and I can see that all these are 0, these ASICs. If I saw a 1 in there somewhere, I would know that there was obviously some kind of issue out there. So right now everything is up and running. I can see the temperature is running at about 65 Celsius, which is a good temperature considering it's pretty warm in my garage right now. And we can go to network. So we can see that the network, the host name is DHCP, or the host name is Antminer, and it's DHCP. So I want to name this in the fashion that I, you know, in a format that I did for my other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my other machine. I'll log into this machine, and let's go see what my naming convention was. So I didn't name, it's still Antminer. But you can see that I have a static addressing here for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my other machine, and I'm going to put it at static, and I'm going to put in 192.168.0.202 and 255.255.255.0. It's a /24 network. 192.168.0.1 is my default gateway. We'll paste in that address, and I will hit save and apply. So I'm probably going to lose connectivity at this point once I do save and apply, because I'm not at the right address. You can see that I'm logged into 11, but I just changed it to 202. So I'm going to lose connectivity once it applies this address to that device. And I might already be there. If I try to connect again, I'll probably say, you know, now I'm trying to get there, but I can't. So now if we go over here, let's just try a test here. Let's try a ping 192.168.0.11, and we can see that now that address is unreachable, whereas before we were getting to that address. So now if I hit Control C and do a ping up arrow and then a 202, we can now see that 202 is pinging, and that's the address that we just changed it to. So we're going to go up here to the top of the page, and it actually for me automatically. We waited long enough, it actually reinitiated the page to our new address and said, hey, you gotta log in again, buddy. So I'm gonna type root, and my password hasn't changed yet, so it's still root at this point. And here we are, and we're logged in, and it's static. So now, let's go back to here, and we can see that it's, you know, it's still mining. And let's go here. So we need to change this to match my other device. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go over here to mining configuration on my first one, and I'm just going to cut and paste this. Now notice that on my first one, I'm going to be going to slush pool to start with. If something goes wrong, then I'll go to ant pool, and if something goes wrong with those two, then I will go mine on pool.bitcoin.com. So I have 3 locations that I can go to, and I will be able to mine if the first 2 go down. So what I'm going to do here is copy this one, and I'm going to go back to my first one. Now you're going to have to go get an account with one of these 3 places, or all 3 of these. You have to log into them and make an account. And notice that this one was 01, so I'm going to make this one 02. Let's go back over here, and now let's grab this one. Control C and Control V. And let's grab this one. Notice there's a little bit of different format based on the place I went to. Control C. Let's change this to a 2. So that'll be my, you know, that's my miner. My login is Peace Dryer, but my miner is miner number 2. So the dot designates miner on the right side and the username on the first side. So let's go over here. Let's go over here. The password doesn't matter. It's just that you have to have something in there, but they don't actually use the password. So, but you do have to put something in there. You can't leave it blank, so I just left it at the default of 123. I'm going to save and apply these settings, and then it should come back and tell me that it's done doing those settings. And then we can go see that it's connected, and then probably in about 10 minutes we'll see it if I log into Slush Pool. So with that being said, let's go over here and let's go to miner status and see what happens. So it's still trying to connect. It hasn't connected to my new to Slush Pool yet, but when it does, we'll see some changes here. While we're waiting for that one, let's go to my first ant miner and take a look at the mining status over there. So you can see that he's logged into the Slush Pool, and we're doing, you know, this is the work that's being done right now, and you can see that I'm alive on all 3 of them. But if they're all 3 alive, I'll be going to the first one, the one on top, and if it goes down, then I'll see the other ones. Now sometimes I'll see some of these go up and down as they do maintenance on their network, so, you know, sometimes they go down. So every now and then I'll see myself, I'll get an email from Slush Pool that says, hey, your worker is down. And then I'll come in here and look, and I'll see that the first one's down and I'm mining on the second one. So eventually, you know, someday I'll get a payout from ant pool, because if you're only mining there every couple of weeks or whatever for a couple of minutes, then you're not going to build up a lot there. So you could actually switch over to, you know, ant pool as your primary. And I could do that by coming over here to mining config and just switch these two. Put this one up there and put this one down here and hit save, and then I'll mine on ant pool. So if I have, like, let's say halfway to a payout, I can switch it and get my payout, and then when I'm done paying out, I can go back to Slush Pool. Now, I've been watching the various different pools, and it seems like Slush Pool is paying out the best right now, so that's why I am working at Slush Pool. And I use whattomine.com to figure out where I want to mine at. Let's go back to our new ant miner. Let's refresh the page and see if we got anything yet. So he still has not connected to those sites, but when he does, we'll show it to you. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back once this thing's ready to go. So now that we have this configured right here, we have these mining configurations here. let's go over to slush pool and add this new user or worker to slush pool. So I'm going to go over to the slush pool dashboard, and then from here you can see I have one running. It's running at about 13.5 and you can see all the different stats and all the different payouts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to workers, and then I'm going to add a new worker, and then I'm going to call it S9-002. Make sure that lines up with our S9-002. And enable monitoring, auto detect, all this stuff. So let's hit create. And let's hit refresh the page. And why is it not letting me have it? Let's try that again. S9-002. Already exists. Cancel. Not sure why we don't see it. Let's go to dashboard. Alright, as you can see, 002 did show up. It took a little bit of time to show up. It was weird. I had to refresh a bunch of times, but it's there now. So we have S9002. If we go back to the S9, you can see that it's starting to populate. It takes it a good 5 or 10 minutes to start populating and talking to the pool. Now you can see here that my slush pool is active, even though slush pool doesn't show as active yet. He's starting to talk to him. He's starting to talk to the ant pool, and shortly he'll talk to the Bitcoin pool. Now we're going to have to go to the other two sites and add my new user to those sites. I think, I can't remember. Some do have, some auto create the workers. I think it was ant pool that auto created them, and it was a couple of them that didn't auto create them. So you just have to look at each one and see. But as you can see, it's starting to populate and starting to figure stuff out. Let's go to the system here. Things are looking good there. Let's go back to status. And again, it's still just coming up to speed. Let's go back to slush pool and let's refresh at the dashboard here. All right, we only have one worker still running, but eventually I'm sure we will see 2 workers running. Let's see what this warning is. Okay. Okay, so now you can see that all 3 of my workers are alive at all 3 of my locations. It's only mining at the first one, but the other 2 are alive. I had to go to slush pool and add the worker, but as you can see, I have 2 workers running now, and it's coming up to speed. It just connected. So eventually it'll get up to probably somewhere around 26 to 27, somewhere in there. And we should see my numbers after a few hours. Probably takes about 6 hours before I start seeing all these numbers change. And I should be getting up to about, $30 to $35 a day starting with this new one. If I go to my other pool, you can see that there's 3 workers here now, but none of them are mining because they're all backups. And if I go over to this one and then go to workers, I had to do nothing for these 2. It added it automatically. So I didn't even have to add the second worker at the BitCoin.com one, and at the ant pool one, it added the workers for me automatically. But at slush pool, I had to add the worker. Once I added the worker, it took about 6-7 minutes and it connected, and now it's coming up to speed. And you'll see this little bar going across every now and then, so you'll see the numbers changing because the website is automatically refreshing every few seconds. Taking a quick look at the power meter, we can see that it takes 13.4 amps to run an S9 miner. Now, in most houses, the circuits are 15 amp circuits, so you're only going to get one S9 miner on each circuit. And in North Carolina, where I live, the regulations say that you can have only a maximum of 7 outlets per circuit. So if you have, 7 outlets in your room and you try to plug in 2 of these devices into the same room, or the same circuit that is, then you're going to end up popping the circuit breaker. So you need to be careful with power in regards to these S9 miners. Switching from amps to watts, you can see I'm using 1550 watts to run this S9 miner. Now that's an extreme amount of wattage compared to like your average computer that might take like 10 or 15 watts. So again, this is considerably more watts than what we would have if we were running just a normal computer. So with that being said, let's take a quick look at how the power calculations might look at now that we know that it's 1550 watts. I put together a quick slide here so that we could look at how much this cost. So you can see the formula is days times 24 hours times kilowatts times the cost per kilowatt hour. So first of all, we need to figure out how many days there are in a month. Now what I did for mine is I took 365 days and times it times 12 months, which gives me an average of 30.42 months per, or 30.42 days per month. So then if we do 30.42 times 24, we get 730.08. Now if we take that and times it times the 1550 watts, which if we put that into kilowatts, it's 1.550, it equals 1131.624. Now taking that 1131.624 and timesing that times 0.09. Now at my house, it's like 0.0925 or something like that per, or cents per kilowatt hour. So I just rounded it down to 9 cents. You might want to make it 10 cents just to be, just to be a little bit more conservative on the number. But anyways, if I do that number times 9 cents, it comes out to $101.85. So that's how much it's going to cost me to run this machine for 30.42 days. Now, if I look at how much Bitcoin is at today, it's at 8,214.75, and you can see that it's at midnight on the 19th of March. So Bitcoin is quite low, and I'm coming out to about $8.29 per day income. If I times that times my 30.42, I'm coming out with $252.82 I'm bringing in a month. And if I subtract the power of 101.85, that equals $150.33 profit per month. Now, back in the January, when Bitcoin was at its highest, I was bringing in about $50 a day on my S9 miner. And if you do the math, that was, after everything, and the profit was about $1,400 a month. So you can see it was considerably better when Bitcoin was at 20,000 than when it's at 8,000. I hope you enjoyed this video and it helps you when your S9 miner arrives at your house. Please join me at our website at BitCoinBeginner.Rocks for many informative blogs and ROI calculators to download. Thank you for joining me. This is Paul Stryer. Godspeed.